Do you want to up your influencer marketing game? Do you want to meet more influencers, have a better working relationship with influencers? You might even be struggling to talk to them in the first place or even get them to talk about your product and post to their audiences. Well, at Winning with Shopify, we have teamed up with Affluencer, which is an app you can install on Shopify, and it comes with a 30-day trial. And even in those first 30 days, you can meet a load of influencers and start promoting your product. So there's no excuse. Go and install the app, start the 30-day trial, and give it a go yourself and see how you get on. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Winning with Shopify podcast. For anyone that's not tuned in before, my name's Nick and it's such a pleasure that you've decided to click on our icon to come and listen to the podcast today. If you've been tuning in for a while, thank you so much for coming back. We wouldn't be running the show if it wasn't for people like you watching the show and engaging with us on things like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and most importantly, our new growth hub. If you haven't already, check out www.podcast.com. Used to be winningwithshopify.com. That's still forwards because I work in SEO. So we've got a 301 redirect on that. But make sure you go and check out our website and check out the Growth Hub and join the waiting list just by filling in the form on the join page. Hit that, come join the community. I'm going to be talking a little bit today about some of the things that have been going on in the community, which has sparked doing this episode and doing it just me as well. So today, I've got some notes in front of me and I'm going to keep looking down at my notes from time to time. But what we're going to talk about is Shopify growth strategies in 2024. And there's three things in particular that I'm going to be really, really careful not to moan about, but actually talk about the opportunity if we get these things right. There are three things that I find so many brands are getting wrong. Some of them are clients of ours, and we're trying to help them with that in my agency spec that's just behind this wall behind me while I'm recording here. So if you're not watching on YouTube and you want to watch, obviously check out the YouTube. But we find these same three problems with so many different clients we work with. These three problems have been defined by a number of guests I've had on over the years from some of the biggest brands in the world that have actually said that this was the difference between the brand hitting a shelf, not growing, and actually remaining quite a small operation, sometimes just owner run and no staff or anything else. The difference between that and building something absolutely massive that you can then go on to sell one day as well. So there's two ways we could look at this. Number one is the biggest growth opportunities. The other way of looking at it, which you might have seen on some of our social media posts and stuff about this, because obviously we're trying to capture people's attention, help them with this, but you could also look at these as the three biggest Shopify growth fails. So number one, and we're going to talk about this in some detail. Number one is where brands fail to really define their customer. Before you hit the back button, before you turn this podcast off and go, I've heard that a million times before. I'm sure you have. But let me tell you a couple of things that you can't do. And I'm going to give a few examples without mentioning the brand of conversations I've been in the last 2 weeks alone, where we actually couldn't make a decision because we don't know who our target customer is. How many of you guys have sat there and looked at your website and thought, do you know what? My website's missing this, a wish list or some sort of functionality that I really want to add, some sort of bundling option or something. I should add that, customers are going to buy. Well, you might be right. But the problem with that, and this is where creativity meets kind of the figures and the numbers and the data, is you don't have any data to support that if you don't fully understand who your customer is. So we had a brand recently that invested probably about £20,000 into development. That's $22,000 for anyone across the US. He's not aware of the exchange rate, which is pretty good for us at the moment. But anyway, so they invested £20,000 in building this amazing functionality where you could go through a series of about 20 to 40 questions to find the perfect product for you, because this brand has quite a wide product range. Now, what we thought would happen is we thought everybody would come running to that particular tool and go, I know what sort of product I want. I just need to find it. And boy, were we wrong. And I say we very politely. I wasn't a massive fan of this project because I couldn't see any data to support it. But we all got into this project and decided to make it as good as possible. What we actually found is the amount of people that started step one compared to the people that reached step, I think it was 38 in the end, 38 points. We found that actually the further through it they got, the less chance there was of that person converting. And if they started step one, the conversion rate was half if they hadn't gone near it in the first place. So what a fail. And the reason I bring up that step one, so I'll repeat that stat. So 50% of people that started step one, there was a decreased amount of chance. It's a 50% less chance of them converting if they started step one than if they didn't. So you've got a 3% conversion rate. Only 1.5% of people that went through the first of 38 questions still converted. Now, we were actually putting customers off. What we learned by doing a bit of research and a few customer surveys and a couple of focus groups and talking to customers, don't get me wrong, it's expensive, it's time consuming. But what we found out actually is most of the customers don't know what they want, and they don't want to be pigeonholed through some survey to decide. What they actually want is they want to browse around the site and be sold to. And that's me putting it in quite a blunt way. It's retail entertainment. Buying products. Who doesn't love buying something and then checking the delivery notifications on your phone? When's it going to arrive? When's it going to be here? When can I see it? When can I wear it? When can I smell it? When can I taste it? And obviously, those are several different products. Maybe there is something you can wear, taste, as well as, and if you can taste it, you can probably smell it as well. But the point being is, people want that sensory experience. People want to be happy, and that's the main reason that people actually shop from a lot of stores, even though it might feel like a dry product you sell. It's about that emotive side of things. So actually, this particular client, putting them through that was a real danger. Well, I say danger, it was a fail. We turned it off, conversion rate went back up, we were quite lucky. And then we went back to the drawing board, did all this research, and then actually found that what worked better was actually going down the route of buying guides, lookbooks. People wanted to kind of filter through different products. Adding a product comparison to the site was really, really powerful. Someone would go, do you know what? I do actually want to buy something like that. That looks quite cool. We'll buy that and see what it's like. And then immediately saying, you've added this to cart. Would you like to compare it to some similar products of ours? And actually you can add one and it gives you a page where it compares, ticks and crosses, this laptop versus this phone versus this pair of shoes versus this pair of shoes. And it will give you all the different things. The sizing match on this one is 98%. The sizing match on this one is 70%. And that's a really useful piece of content to a customer, which might increase their chance of buying. And also gives you an edge if they go on any other websites and try to see the sizing fit and it's not there, or there isn't a percentage to say this generally fits 98% of people versus this one that's 70. Then actually they might go, I'm not going to buy from that site at all because I want that statistic now that I know that data's available at your brand versus someone else's. So this whole defining customer process, I think, is so important. And what you've got to remember as well is just because customers tell you their age, their gender, their location, what they wanted before they arrived on the website, doesn't mean you just deliver exactly what they want. This isn't a menu where they're choosing an item off the menu, you cook it, bring it out, they eat it and tell you what they think. There is still room in there, I believe, and have seen over my career, that for marketing, there is room to go, okay, our audience is a little bit worse than other audiences with technology. And because they're not great with technology, they're sort of clicking through some sort of buying guide wizard or whatever is not their forte. Actually, just having a very clear picture of that's the product, these are the functions in it, and then adding some marketing in. So wording all of the bullet points to say the specification, the guarantee, and all the fairly boring stuff. Let's word it in a way that says 5 years peace of mind guarantee, or 5 years guarantee with a little logo that says peace of mind, in a nice kind of, purple star or something. So people can see what that is. The imagery, we're going to actually put people in our images and reflect that this is for an older generation or this is for a younger generation and that sort of thing. We did a survey with one client in particular who sell homeware. And we asked people 5 questions. And one of the questions was, which of the following describes the building that you live in? Is it a flat? Is it an apartment? Is it a studio? Those were the 3-4. We literally gave them 3 options there. Would you describe it as a house? Would you describe it as a manor? Would you describe it as a country cottage? I went through a whole series of different options for them to choose from, tick all that apply. And we actually found out that we were shooting our products and all our photography in the middle of nowhere in this beautiful countryside with the rolling hills in the background and the sun was shining. When actually we found out that people lived in cities that have rain 40 to 60% of the year round, and they were buying for their apartment, but it was quite a large apartment. Well, that's a game changer in terms of photography. And actually, rather than people seeing the picture of an item like a sofa or a lamp or something and thinking, how's that going to work in my particular property or where I live in my home? Instead of that, they just look at the picture and go, I can see exactly how it's going to work, because that's looks very similar to my home, but it's a bit lighter, a bit cleaner, has some nicer things in the background, etc., etc. And as I say, most importantly, people want an experience. We don't buy a new pair of shoes because we don't have any shoes. There are obviously exceptions to that, but most people buy a new pair of trainers because they want to feel good. They want their feet to be comfortable, or they don't care about comfort. They want to look good. And so really drilling down to why people buy your product is unbelievably important. If you don't know that, or you can't answer the basic questions of where do people use my product, why do they buy it, how long do they shop for, then you clearly do not know enough to be really, really effective in building and growing your business. And as I say, just because you find out that everybody is a technophobe and hates technology who's shopping on your website doesn't mean you need to make all the buttons absolutely enormous and completely kill the marketing strategy. One way that you can find out who your audience are very, very quickly, and I am going to plug a few of our partners on each of these points. Check out Affluencer, and there'll be a link in the description below. They're one of our partners for quite a long time now, and these guys have a platform an app that plugs into Shopify, so you can download it straight into Shopify store, Shopify app. Once you've got the app, you can find nano and micro influencers very, very quickly. And the whole point of this, if you want to find out more about the platform, go and check out the episode with Brett. But the reason I'm bringing this up really is because you've got that access to influencers so quickly. You can quite quickly, for the cost probably of sending out a product or even just loaning a product and $50 or something, or $50, as you guys say in the US, but $50, you can actually reach an audience through that person very, very quickly with some sort of post that you pre-agree with the influencer and watch what happens. And that can all take place within a week and cost you either just a product or a very, very small amount of money. And at least then you can start to get some feedback. You could say to them, could you post a poll for us and say, like, when you bought your last pair of shoes, how long was it between when you wanted to buy the shoes to when you actually bought them? Get a bit of customer research that way. There's also some really good platforms where you can do customer research. People get paid like £1 or $1 or something to fill out a 20 question feedback survey. You can send some of those out and start getting some quantitative data back as well as to certain groups and markets that you could target. You could do one survey out to, this isn't through Affluencer, by the way, but there's other platforms that can help you do this. So you could send a survey out to like one age demographic. You could send to 100 people, another age demographic to another 100 people, another age demographic to another 100, and look at the results and go, okay, that one there and that one there, these two age groups and genders, that looks like the best fit for me. So let's do a survey to 1,000 of them and see what answers they give us to a set of questions and go, actually, that's now starting to piece together a bit of an opportunity for us here. So that defining the customer, for me, as a marketing guy who works in customer acquisition, it solves so many problems for me where I'm coming in and trying to come up with creative ideas. There's only so much we can do until someone says, our customer, they are all based in this one geographic region. And I'm like, okay, great. They spend twice as much as everybody else. I can pull some of this information out of the data for clients as well, as can my team. But having that information is absolutely imperative, that now we're not wasting money on things that don't work. So my first point really is define your customer and really get to know them. Until you do that, you're not going to know. And some people will ask me, okay, how many orders do I need to do that? Should I do it before we start? I am a firm believer, and this is painful and it costs money, and I get that. I'm a firm believer though in fail fast. If you fail quickly and as cheaply as possible, what that means is you just spend some money, get some people on the site, see who converts. The ones that do convert, go and talk to them, and suddenly you're off. But until you get some people into the site and get some conversions, you just won't know. So define your customer is point number one if you really, really want to grow your Shopify store. And again, I see so many brands utterly failing at that. And there are loads of brands as well that I can literally just look at the first page of your website or have a look at your homepage and a couple of products and go, you have no idea who's buying this stuff. Like, there's some really, really clear signs. And I've mentioned a few of those already. Do you ever find that in your warehouse you have dead stock? You can't sell it, no one wants to buy it, and you can't get a refund on it. Or alternatively, you're missing inventory in your warehouse that you need. You've got sales coming in and you're low on stock and you haven't ordered more stock in time. All these things hit profit. And I've been there. I've run my own Shopify store and had exactly that problem. But we've partnered it up with Inventory Planner, who have the most incredible app to help you manage that and forecast exactly what products, what SKUs, even down to what color of product you need to order in advance to make sure stock levels remain consistent throughout. They're also running a 7-day boot camp. And if you want to go and sign up to that, it's 7 emails over 7 days. And it takes the same amount of time as your morning coffee. And in 7 days, like me, you can become an inventory management pro. Both links are in the description. Enjoy. Number 2 then. Now, this is right up my street. So the defining customer helps me in what I do and what my agency do. But the second point here, this is right up my street. And I'm often the one who pulls this report together. And it's about making profit. And I know, again, before you hit stop and go, all right, you're telling me to understand my customer and make some profit. I get that. I'm trying to, I really want to uncover some points on this, because I think there's some really interesting things that have been happening in 2024 so far that are different to previous years that I've been a little bit struck by. One of them is really bad reporting. So if you've been using Google's new cookie consent, you've probably seen GA4's dropped quite a bit. Shopify's still got all the sessions and all the revenue, but GA4's dropped a bit, sometimes more than a bit, sometimes quite a lot. But if you've got that going on, the problem is Shopify will say that all of your sales and traffic were direct, whereas what you're seeing actually in GA4 is actually almost none of my sales, or some of my sales came through direct, but a lot of them came through PPC, SEO, social ads, affiliate marketing, email marketing, and all this other stuff that you guys work very hard on. So the problem we've really got in this day and age is that attribution modeling. And the reason it's a problem is because it's pretty much impossible to really, really know and drill down on every customer. What different clicks did they make into my website? So did they find me on social, come through Google later, click on an email campaign, and then they saw somebody, I don't know, the Olympic Games is on right now. I saw somebody at the Olympic Games wearing this amazing pair of orange trainers and Googled what trainers are they wearing and came and bought them. So there's a whole cycle there of different things that could be going on. And you can't attribute all of them to revenue. So there really is a challenge right now in making profit. So let me give you a few ways that I, again, see brands really failing with trying to make profit, and they just get it wrong. The first one really is brands don't add all of their advertising costs together and compare that to their revenue. I know it sounds really obvious. I'm going to say it again. Add all of your advertising costs, and I should have said, sorry, as well, your agency and supplier costs. Add all of that into one and go, right, I'm investing this much in Meta ads, Google ads, TikTok ads. To pay my agencies, I'm paying this, this, and this. I've also got a freelancer does some email stuff for me. That costs this. That's all of my just pure outgoings on advertising and management of advertising. What is my revenue? And as a percentage, how much of my revenue am I actually spending back to those channels? Brands just fail to do that. I'm doing a talk at the Ecom Expo in London. So if anyone is in the UK and you want to come along, it's free to come. Ecom Expo in September. I think it's the 18th and 19th. Apologies if I got that wrong, but you can Google it, Ecom Expo. It's in London in the Excel Centre. And I'm doing a talk on the omni-channel stage where I'm going to be talking about PPC and SEO integration integrating those two channels with everything else to make it work more effectively. And going back to that revenue model, when you add all that revenue, or all of the costs together to then compare to revenue, you'll get a figure, you'll get some sort of percentage that will say, okay, 20% of everything that comes in, we spend back on marketing. 20% tends to be quite healthy. But if you get a figure back that's like 70% and your margins are more than 30, you're losing money. You're actually just hemorrhaging money here. And it's a big problem. And I've walked into brands quite a lot over the years. And I have to say I'm not proud of this, but I've walked into so many brands that have never done that sum to actually then just go, right, all of my stores are making all my profit and I'm just throwing money at Google and Facebook here and making nothing back. So you've got that figure. What do you do with that figure next? Where do you actually start to take that? Well, there's two outcomes I think you need to do. One is for the next month or the next quarter, shuffle those budgets between the channels and use the data in the channels, both in the channels, also on GA4, anything you get from Shopify, and go, okay, I'm struggling to see any actual revenue here from Meta ads, for example. Excuse me. So let's lower the amount of money I'm investing in Meta ads on a daily basis. Let's lower that by 30, 40% and see what happens to the bottom line. Google ads generally converts quite well. So let's go, right, and I would say that I'm slightly biased. But let's say, okay, Google ads and TikTok, let's take that money from Meta ads and put it into those two channels for the next month. At the end of the month, let's do that same sum, or you can even have it in real time on a dashboard somewhere, but let's do that same set of figures a month or a week or whenever later and go, what's changed? Is it looking greener? Is it looking redder? It's looking redder, right? Okay, step one, let's shuffle it all back as it was, but let's do another change. Let's take money out of Google and put it into TikTok and Meta ads this time and see what changes. Okay, it's dropped again. What I've now learned is when I take it out of Meta, it drops. When I take it out of Google, it drops. It's going to be TikTok, isn't it? So I need to spend maybe not nothing, but I need to spend a lot less on TikTok and put that money into put half it or put it all into Facebook, for example, Meta ads, and nothing into Google, see what happens. Then move that additional TikTok money into Google instead of Meta and see what happens. I know I'm talking a lot of statistics here, but hopefully you're tracking with me that actually what we need to do is look at changing where we invest money across different channels and see what happens to the bottom line. You should know, again, from talking to customers and knowing the cycle between first moment they were like, I wonder if I should get some new shoes, to actually purchasing some. If that cycle is a month, you need to do each of these tests for at least 2 months to get some data on it, which might sound like a long time, might be 6, 8, 10 months from now that you've actually got some sort of concrete data to go, right, this is the way I need to do it. But imagine if you look back 6, 8, 10 months and go, I wish I'd started then. I wish I knew the answers to those questions now, because I could better spend my money and make a much better margin on what I'm doing. So one area that bleeds Shopify businesses to death is advertising costs. And so I think you've got to be really careful of that. And I do run an agency, but I will call out agencies and say, we charge a lot for what we do, and it's got to be worth it. So my agency, and not to plug my agency, but to almost call out your agencies that you're working with if they're not doing this, they should be adding in their agency fees to their ROI figures. So if they spent 10,000 on Google and charged you 2,000 to manage it, it's 12,000 on Google. What revenue has Google generated? And then you make sure you include that agency fee in that total to check total revenue against that. So that is an exercise that is well worth doing. The second thing, and again, I'm going to plug another one of our partners here because they've got an amazing 7 days to improve your inventory. That you can go and sign up to. There'll be a link in the description under this as well, on whatever platform you're listening to. But Inventory Planner, our partners, they're part of the Sage Group. Again, you can download and use their app within your Shopify store to help you manage your inventory. I need to be really careful with this, and the client won't mind me saying as long as I don't say their name, but I was literally looking at a report over the last 48 hours that I've run on a client of ours where they've wanted an always on policy for all of their products on Google Ads. So we've had every product showing all the time. We've not had any products we've taken out, bar a small handful, but we've generally got every product showing all the time. Now, I've gone through the data of the last 2 months, and I've compared that to the last, would have been 7 months. So year to date up until end of July. What I found, which has honestly been nothing short of horrifying, is that I think it was 83% of our products, we've not sold a single one in the last 2 months. And we've made a loss selling those products this year so far. So I'll change these figures slightly, but keep the percentages the same. So they spend more than this, but we'll work with this as a smaller set of numbers to understand. But £10,000 they've spent to generate 800 on products on Google Shopping. £10,000 to generate 800. They've spent another £10,000 to generate over £100,000. But that's been, as I say, on like between 10 and 20% of their products. So the solution here, you got two options really. One solution is just stop advertising to the other products. Problem then is you are reducing your total advertising and you're not advertising on them anymore. So there's no chance of them getting any traction. But at least you're only advertising the stuff that works. There's also data I've put into that as well to say, I don't want to reduce, I only want to reduce budget on stuff that is, and it's reduce, not stop, is what I've decided to do in our next phase of this with my team. But we want to make sure that we are not stopping, but we only want to advertise on products that have sold at least 2 units or had 2 different orders on people clicking on that product on Google Shopping. So it's alarming. I mean, it's the 80-20 rule. So we bring everything down where it's not working. And then we do, which is option number 2, which is we keep optimizing it. And once it is working, we move it into the side of the advertising account of spend more money on it. It's working. But the point being is like 80% of a lot of brands' products that I've ever spoken to and looked at, people just don't buy. So Inventory Manager are trying to help stop that, to say, actually, you could still have that bulk of SKUs on the site, but the Inventory Manager software will say to you, do not order any more of it. It will give you actual product performance reports to say, these 5 products, these are your best sellers. Or these, say you've got 20,000 products, these 1,500 products, best sellers. Get more variants of them, more similar products to them as well. Grow that range, shrink this range. And obviously with Black Friday and Christmas around the corner, which I know it's summer at the moment, everyone's on holiday, and you might even be listening to this on a beach or by the poolside. And I'm jealous of you, and I'll be joining you in a few weeks as well myself. But Christmas is on the way. So actually being able to manage your inventory throughout Christmas and have a bit of software to tell you that actually I'm going to need to order more of this stuff now because of the turnaround times between ordering and actually having something coming in is imperative. So that stock that's sitting in your warehouse that you can't sell is dead money. And going back to my first point, even worse if we are advertising it and getting nothing back. We're just paying Google to try and flog a dead horse, and that dead horse is sitting in your warehouse, not selling. And because it's in your warehouse, you've already paid to stock it and you can't get rid of it. So let's get creative, stop ordering stuff people don't buy, and start growing a product range where actually you're getting more like 70 to 80% of your products are selling on a daily or weekly basis. So it's nice and consistent. Cool. So point number 2, brands struggle to make profit because I think they don't look at their figures properly. And sometimes, fair enough, scared to make certain decisions, which is fair enough. Number 3, then, I want to talk about email marketing. Email is easily the biggest untapped part of any brand's marketing that I've probably ever looked at. And I know everyone knows about email marketing. You've heard it a million times before. I see very profitable brands that we work with that are getting like somewhere between 20 to 40% of all revenue through email. That's right, 20 to 40% of all their revenue comes through email. How much does that cost? Maybe consultants spending a little bit of time on it, somebody internally who manages it. I'm a big advocate of get external help, but have someone internally who owns it. It's internal communication to your customers. You should own that. You shouldn't pay an agency to do email marketing for you, but you are going to need a platform to be on, and ideally a consultant that can walk you through how to do proper A/B testing and get that thing working. I'm not going to talk loads about email because we do have a partner, Seguno, who an amazing email app that you can plug into Shopify and use. They've got a good offer as well if you want to click on that and get an offer to get playing with it. We've had quite a few of the guys from Seguno on the show over the years. We've got them coming back on. They are one of our partners. But certainly with email marketing, have a real look in the mirror when it comes to email and think about, how are we doing email right now? How should we be doing email right now? Check the basic stats. What emails have ever sold? Are we sending really long emails and they're not working? Let's try short ones. Are we sending really short emails and they're not working? Let's try a slightly longer one. Let's send 10 emails to 10% of our audience each. So 10 emails going out to 10% each, all across the board. And let's do them all different lengths, different products we push in there, and see which one gets at least 5 orders or more. Bang, we've got some stats, and that's just from sending a single email. Some of the things I find that brands just completely do not understand about email as well is they use email to project, and again, it's going to be slightly judgmental, so sorry, merchants. But a lot of merchants will try and project what they want to say in email rather than trying to meet customers where they are. And this flows right back to point number 1 about defining your customer and understanding who they are to then know what to say to them. And it also stems to point number 2 about what products you've got in stock. Are they the right products? Have we got a good range? I have so many brands that you get that annoying, and sorry, CEOs, someone who runs a business myself, I put myself on this. We do send those annoying emails from time to time to staff where we just say, I've got all this stock sitting around, get it sold, rather than looking at the real problem of who ordered all this stuff in the first place. Why did we order it? What were the stats? And how do we order better products going forward, or more relevant products that we know we can sell? And so I think it's looking at that whole piece there. And then obviously marketing teams, get your creative hats on and go, we've got a load of stock sitting around. I think it's Lululemon, amazing brand. And I think it's called the We Made Too Much, which I think is just such a good way of saying outlet, sale, discount. Sorry, guys, we made too much, so it's all on sale. I've also seen another site recently that used something to the effect of like unloved products or unwanted products, or actually this is the when somebody leaves something behind and it gets put in the lost property. Almost calling it like the lost property section of like, these are products nobody wants, so we put a little discount on them. It's for customers only, or we only send it out via email just saying, look, we've got some unloved products, why don't you adopt one of our unloved products? And one of our t-shirts or one of our these food products are they're going old and nobody wants them, so they're half price if you want to buy one. And just do little sprints like that. It's nice personality, it gives something back to your community, and you cut your losses on the stock that's sitting in your warehouse. Email is so powerful for doing that. Same with SMS as well. I think a lot of brands are scared to send an SMS message, certainly in the UK, less so in the US, but certainly in the UK, scared to send an SMS message, even when they're allowed to. I saw a really interesting study recently that said that if you send an SMS once somebody has purchased, to say, just want to say a massive, or WhatsApp message or something, just want to say a massive thank you for purchasing from us. I will, we will text you your delivery tracking link, or we'll send you a note once it's been dispatched. And once that has happened, make sure you send that message. They're now used to receiving messages from you. So a week or two after they've received their product, send them another one saying, how is the product? Please give us a review. 1 being rubbish, 5 being great. And they reply to the message. If it's 5, say, please post that on our website. And now you've got a new review. Or just write us a quick review here and please send us a picture on WhatsApp of the product. You're now getting reviews, and that starts to really feed that marketing engine. But certainly email marketing is such an untouched space. And if you're having to pay, the crazy fees fees, which I've called out several times in this episode alone. The crazy fees that Meta ads and Google ads are charging to do customer acquisition, to drive clicks into your site, it's probably costing you a few pounds or dollars, sometimes tens of pounds or dollars per click. You've got to find a way of getting a second order from every single one of those customers. And that second order is going to happen through providing them with a good service, a good product, a product they love, a product they want to tell their friends about, and also staying in touch. And that's where the email bit kicks in. So I hope today's not been too ranty. Apologies, it's been just me. But we've had so many conversations in the Growth Hub, which is our community, about these three specific things over the last couple of weeks. So if you want to join the Growth Hub, it is now open. We are moderating people, but it is open. So go on the website, join the waiting list, and we'll get you added to the Growth Hub pretty quickly. We are also on the Growth Hub if anyone is interested. We are having our first, in fact, when this goes out, we would have just had our first round table within the Growth Hub, where we're just having an open conversation, just bringing some brands together from within the Growth Hub, just to talk about SEO. When this episode goes out, the following Wednesday, we're going to have one on PPC advertising. I think it's on PPC, and there's another one shortly after that as well. Probably got any of those topics wrong, but we are going to do them every week or two, and just get some people together to come and discuss some of your challenges. We're not going to preach. Our job there is just to facilitate. I personally will be joining quite a few of those as well. So yeah, come get involved in the Growth Hub. There's some really exciting things going on there. But until next week, if you don't want to join the Growth Hub, absolutely fine. But until next week, thank you so much for listening today. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, check out our YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel, give us a like, and basically just engage with us. We love to hear from you guys. So yeah, send us an email, send us a message. Thanks for tuning in. We're back again next Friday. Does your email marketing suck? Do you wish it converted better and integrated better with your store? Well, there is a solution. We've partnered with Seguno, who are an email platform that is built into Shopify, which means you don't have to leave Shopify to go and manage your email campaigns. So you can run your marketing at the same place you run your shop. To learn more, you can claim your free customer analysis and strategy session and visit seguno.com/winning with Shopify. That's seguno.com/winning with Shopify. Seguno is made for merchants, not marketers.